RM Sotheby's is the world's largest collector car auction house by total sales. They are the preeminent market maker of high-quality collector cars and collections, regardless of size or complexity. By working in partnership with the Sotheby's team and its network of 80 offices in 40 countries, RM Sotheby's has established the largest client network of any collector car auction house in the world. Join the RM Sotheby's family by connecting with one of their car specialists at rmsotheby's.com or contact me directly at GStanley at rmsotheby's.com. LLC. Hey, welcome to the Collector Car Podcast. If you're not already on my email subscription list, please shoot me your email address, greg@thecollectorcarpodcast.com, and I will be sure to add you to it. I do have cars that are for sale privately, as well as some cars that are wanted. So right now I am looking for a 599 GTO with around 10,000 miles for a client, as well as a Ferrari TDF 2015 to 2017 with a stripe specifically. And then I'm also looking for a 1966 Pontiac GTO with a white interior, as well as a 1959 Cadillac Eldorado convertible, Barrett's if possible. So if you have any of those in your collection, would like to discuss it, please shoot me a note, GStanley at rmsotheby's.com or Greg at the Collector Car Podcast. Now today I am going to do a narration of my most recent email called My Bitchin College Car. So I hope you enjoy this. If you're listening to audio only, there are some period pictures when I when I had some big glasses, buck teeth, and a bowl haircut on YouTube. So be sure to check it out there. Breaking the glass ceiling. The two women broke the glass ceiling in unexpected ways. They were car thieves and crackheads. This was 1991. Siblings are often cursed with a directive to share stuff. In my case, it was to share a 1986 Buick Century Limited with my older sister while we were attending college at Florida State University. Both of my sisters are awesome, back then as a little kid and today as an adult. But ew, I wanted my own car. The eternal selfishness of the teenage mind is a powerful thing, and I definitely wanted my own ride. I'd like to think I grew out of that stage, but I have suspicions that I have not. Please keep your thoughts on this matter to yourself. We had great parents who did not spoil us, but they set us up for success and kept us safe. My parents did not believe in a free ride. Our college agreement was that they would pay for our classes and books, but we had to pay for our housing and food. Harvard, Princeton, and the Community College of the Bahamas all were open to us. We could have gone anywhere. This resulted in my sister and I working as resident assistants at Cash Hall, a private dormitory and apartment complex in Tallahassee, Florida, that housed rowdy college kids and all of Florida State's athletes except for the football players. They were staying at the Ritz or something. Our parents cared for our safety by providing us with a used black over red velveted interior four-door Buick that my dad found for $600. While it did not enhance my dating life, it was reliable. My dating life remained spotty at best. And then the Buick just disappeared. For my sophomore year, I decided I needed to spread my wings a bit, and I lived in an apartment with two buddies from high school. I awoke one morning, technically it was afternoon, to find the Buick missing. I assumed my sister grabbed it to run errands, so I did not think much of it. But since it was now a few miles away, I thought I'd better call her on my rotary dial phone to confirm. This is a summation of our conversation. I don't have it. I thought you had it. Well, I don't have it. I thought you had it. I don't have it. I thought you had it. We bounced that around between ourselves for a while until we realized that neither one of us had it. It had been stolen. Cool. You always remember the first time you called the police. The authorities arrived and I felt important for some reason. Once I confirmed that it was here, while pointing to an empty parking spot, and now it's gone, pointing to the same empty parking spot, they took a few notes on what looked like Post-its and departed. I'm pretty sure they took it seriously. 3 weeks later, I had the car back. Well, most of it, for quote-unquote use. had been caught joyriding in the Buick near the Tallahassee International Airport. International meaning flights to Cancun happened during the spring break. All but one of the youths was under 18 years old. The original perpetrators were two young women who had stolen the Buick and traded it for crack cocaine. That was quite entrepreneurial of them. They were never caught. The steering column had been cracked open so they could start it with a screwdriver. My dad refused to throw any additional money at the Buick, so we used a Phillips head as the key for our remaining time with the car, which wasn't long. Additional enhancements by the perpetrators included the word bitching keyed onto the hood with 5-inch lettering that resembled sans serif if done with a switchblade. Part of my using the B word, but this is for historical documentation purposes. I consider myself the Indiana Jones of 1980s mediocre cars. While at Florida State, I played trombone in the Marching Chiefs, which was their plus 400 member marching band. As a tromboner, now that's their words, not mine, we received jerseys with nicknames on the back that were created by the senior players. For my freshman year, I was Horny Bone. Now that's for different reasons than what you are probably imagining right now. See, I received a partial music scholarship for playing the French horn while I played the trombone in the marching band. Once my French horn private lesson teacher discovered my other life, he'd made me quit playing the trombone. From that point on, the 26 trombone strong section of the Marching Chiefs performed with one French horn lurking within their midst. Horny Bone made a lot of sense that year. The following year, my jersey was adorned with, you guessed it, bitching car. No one ever accused the senior college kids as being very inventive. Tenure with the Buick ended when a Ford F-150 ran a red light and T-boned the Black Beauty, causing it and me to 360 many times before coming to a rest on an Exxon service station. You heard that right. We landed on the raised base that housed the gas pumps. I was shaken and stirred and thankfully not Burger King flame broiled. The $600 Buick was totaled. During Arms Sotheby's Auburn auction of 2020, I noticed that there was a 1986 Buick Century Limited on offer. I just had to sit in it and relive my college days. This one was nicer, and you didn't have to start it with a screwdriver. Even though the estimate was only $6,000 to $8,000, I never considered buying it. Despite its namesake, I never considered the 1986 Buick Century Limited as bitching. Now, if you need help selling your 1986 Buick Century Limited, call Meekum. If you need help selling your bitching collector car, then please let me know. Now, just for fun, since this is a shorter podcast episode, I thought I'd give a little bit of history on Buick. Now, this is based on Wikipedia, so that is my reference. Yes, I could go all over the place, but not a lot of places have information on the 1986 Buick Century Limited. So Buick Century is the model name that was used by Buick for a line of upscale full-size cars from 1936 to 1942 and 1954 to 1958, as well as 1973 to 2005 for mid-size cars. The first Buick Century debuted as a Series 60, then renamed in 1936 as a shorter and lighter model featuring the same engine as the bigger Roadmaster and Limited series, giving it more performance while using the shorter wheelbase body of the Buick Special. Technically, the one that I drove was the 5th generation, which was produced from 1982 to 1996. In January of 1982, GM debuted the downsized 5th generation Century using the front-wheel drive A platform in coupe and sedan forms. The 5th generation Century shared the front-wheel drive A platform with the Cutlass Sierra, Pontiac 6000, and Chevrolet Celebrity. That was a pretty nice car, too. And together, the A bodies became enormously popular, as well as synonymous with GM's most transparent examples of badge engineering, highlighted almost indistinguishably on August 22, 1983 cover of Fortune magazine as examples of genericized uniformity, embarrassing the company and ultimately prompting GM to recommit to design leadership. In October of 1983, a station wagon was added to the lineup to replace the discontinued Regal wagon. The 1984 model year also had an Olympic version of the Buick Century commemorating the 1984 games in Los Angeles, California. Interesting. In 1985, all 1986 versions were freshened with a new, more angular front. Both 4-cylinder gasoline engines and diesel V6 engines were offered in this generation, although neither became popular. Performance versions of several Buick models, including the Century Coupe, were marked in the mid-1980s under the T-Type name. with Buick's 181 cubic inch 3-liter V6 producing 110 horsepower. The Century T-Type's performance was modest, but the Buick's 3.8-liter V6 SFI engine produced 140 to 150 horsepower, offered performance in this comparatively lightweight vehicle. Now here's one that I wouldn't mind having. I've never even seen one. For 1985 and 1986, Hess Eisenhart Carcraft of Lima, Ohio converted 124 finished Buick Century coupes into coach-built convertibles. Although these convertibles were sold as new cars through Buick dealerships, these conversions were not factory authorized. Interesting. And in Mexico, it was sold as the Century Limited with no brand, although it wears the Buick logos. Introduced in 1984, it was the top model for General Motors Mexico, and it survived the import car wave of 1991. Previously, new car importations were forbidden in Mexico and continued in production until the 1996 model year. Wow. In Japan, it was sold as the Buick Regal because of the Toyota Century limousine. Interesting. So if you would like to be on my newsletter, please shoot me an email, greg@thecollectorcar podcast. And as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to all of you next week.